The show has revealed Cain Dingle's next step after a dramatic storyline that resulted in his wife Moira giving up the rights to Butler's farm. During this week's episodes, Moira agreed to transfer ownership of the farm after striking a deal with Kim. It was later announced that Joe planned to pass control of the farm to Robert Sugden and his partner Moira Dingle. Cain was far from happy when he learned about this decision, but he chose not to fight it because he is currently dealing with a diagnosis of prostate cancer. Viewers are aware that Moira, who is serving time in prison, arranged the agreement without informing Cain beforehand. Once Cain discovered that the farm had been handed over, he became determined to find another piece of land so Moira could eventually continue her farming life. In scenes that will air next week on the ITV drama, Cain reluctantly decides to move into the Dingle household after the sale is finalised. With Robert and Aaron preparing to settle in and begin working as tenant farmers, Cain struggles to feel positive about starting over. The moment is emotional for Cain as he leaves the property, taking a small keepsake with him before saying goodbye. Meanwhile, Robert's arrival at the farm is slightly awkward, though he quickly offers Matty a job. Later that morning, Cain arrives at the Dingle homestead with his sons, clearly upset by everything that has happened. The boys also find the sudden move difficult to adjust to. Despite the sadness, Cain quickly decides that he will create a new farm for the family. The rest of the Dingles fully support the idea and promise to give everything they can to help Cain and the boys succeed, although it remains uncertain whether the plan will work. At Butler's farm, Robert is moved when he notices that Aaron has repaired the old Emmerdale farm sign. Together they talk about what they call the Sugden reboot as they begin their new future on the land. Discussing the storyline, the show's producer explained that the Sugden family has always played a central role in the village because they were the original farming family when the series first began. She added that returning the farm to the Sugden legacy is an emotional moment that reflects the early days of the show, when Annie Sugden and her sons, Jack and Joe, worked the land together. According to the producer, Robert now wants to honour his father by doing his best while managing the farm as the new tenant. With Aaron by his side, the couple are ready to embrace this fresh chapter and are determined to make the farm successful. She also noted that farming continues to be an important part of the show, bringing energy and authenticity to village life for viewers. End of an era, as Cain Dingle leaves Butler's farm, and a major change begins. The show previously revealed that Cain Dingle's prostate cancer storyline would permanently alter his life. That promise is about to come true in an emotional way, as the normally tough and guarded villager finally walks away from Butler's farm. Although the year has only just begun, it has already brought overwhelming hardship for the usually unbreakable figure of the village. Doctors have discovered a cancerous tumour inside him, while his wife Moira has been wrongly blamed for the crimes of the late human trafficker Celia Daniels. The situation was engineered by the manipulative Joe Tate, who is determined to gain control of Butler's farm. With Moira currently in prison and unlikely to return anytime soon, Cain is left with enormous responsibilities. He must manage the farm, raise 2 boys, deal with a life-threatening illness, and handle everything mostly on his own, aside from the support of Sarah Sugden. Because Sarah has previously survived cancer, she becomes the only person in the family Cain feels able to speak openly with about his diagnosis. She even helps him keep the struggling farm running by taking part in a risky scheme that involves stealing Joe Tate's car. Despite these desperate efforts, the farm's financial problems continue to grow worse. As unpaid bills pile up, and Joe uses intimidation to force his plans forward, Cain begins to seriously consider giving up the farm in a recent special episode. Things become even more painful after Cain receives an emotional phone call from Moira in prison. Hearing her thank him for keeping the farm running while she is away fills him with guilt, especially because she has no idea how close they are to losing everything. After the stolen car incident begins to threaten Sarah's marriage to Jacob Gallagher, and Joe threatens to involve the police, Cain is forced to face the reality of his situation. While in the Woolpack's restroom, he notices blood in his urine, reminding him that his illness is far more serious than he has been admitting. For the first time in years, Cain is battling a problem he cannot simply fight or intimidate. The pressures of the failing farm, his worsening health, and the weight of family responsibilities are becoming impossible for him to manage alone. In a powerful and emotional scene, Cain visits Moira in prison and finally confesses the truth about his stage 4 prostate cancer diagnosis. Until this moment, he had tried to downplay the seriousness of the illness to avoid worrying her. Moira is devastated when she realizes how advanced the cancer has become, but she is also thankful that Cain has finally opened up about his struggles. This emotional conversation ultimately leads to a heartbreaking decision. Moira agrees to sell the farm to the Tate family. Upcoming scenes will mark the end of an era as Cain leaves Butler's farm and returns to the famous Dingle cottage for the first time in years. Although he was reluctant at first, Cain eventually decides to move back in with the Dingle family. When he visits the Woolpack, however, he finds it impossible to celebrate this supposed fresh start. The difficult moment finally arrives when Cain packs up and leaves Butler's farm, taking one last keepsake before saying goodbye. Soon afterward, Robert Sugden moves into the property, though the situation feels awkward. Robert quickly offers Matty Barton a job, perhaps as a small attempt to make amends, considering his involvement in planting fake invoices that helped frame Moira for Celia's crimes on Joe Tate's orders. Later, Cain returns to the Dingle homestead with his sons, who are also struggling to adjust to the sudden change. Determined not to give up, Cain decides that he will build a brand new Dingle farm. The entire Dingle family rallies around him, promising to support the plan and help him and the boys start again. Joe makes a surprising offer to Lydia after uncovering a secret. Next week in Emmerdale, suspicion begins to grow when Joe Tate unexpectedly shows kindness toward Lydia Dingle. Known for his manipulative behavior, Joe's sudden generosity raises questions after the recent change of ownership at Butler's farm. Recent episodes showed Moira Dingle signing the farm over to the Tate family, and it has since been revealed that Joe eventually passes control of the property to Robert Sugden and his partner, Aaron Dingle. In upcoming scenes, the Dingle family begins settling into a new life at the Woolpack. However, their mood quickly shifts when Joe walks in, apologizes to Lydia for the recent friction between them, and surprisingly offers her a salary increase. Even Joe's mother, Kim, finds his behavior suspicious. What she doesn't realize is that Joe has recently uncovered something important. A source from the show hints that Joe rarely acts without a hidden agenda. When he extends an olive branch to Lydia, some people begin to hope that he might be trying to repair relations between the Tate and Dingle families. After all, Lydia has faithfully worked for Kim at Home Farm for many years. Unknown to everyone else, though, Joe's latest actions are driven by a significant discovery he has made. The question now is what he is planning and how Lydia fits into his scheme. Emmerdale airs on weekday evenings at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available to stream on ITVX.